To recap, on the 8th of the Hijjah, everybody goes and stays. The Sunnah is to pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha on the 8th, shortening the 4 rak'ahs into 2, praying it on time, and Fajr on the 9th. What happens if someone doesn't want to spend the night in Mina on the 8th? This is Yawm al-Tarwiyah, no problem. Do I have to expiate? No. This is a Sunnah. If you go directly from wherever you are to Arafah on the 9th day, that's fine. There's no problem in that. On the 9th, we go to Arafah and we pray Dhuhr and Asr combined at the time of Dhuhr, 2 rak'ahs, then do another Iqamah, 2 rak'ahs of Asr. And we make dua and stay. Sometimes people get bored. There's no problem in reading a beneficial book, then reading the Qur'an, then engaging in dua, then making some dhikr, then going, having lunch, maybe talk to someone, come back, have some snacks, drink coffee, make dua, so that you would utilize the time to the best of your ability, but not to spend it in chit-chatting and gossiping, because this is a time that you have to utilize. The sun sets, don't pray Maghrib. Go with the pilgrims to Muzdalifah. Once you reach Muzdalifah, you pray Maghrib 3 rak'ahs, combine Isha 2 rak'ahs to it. However, sometimes, for one reason or the other, the bus you're in may reach Muzdalifah late. And we know that the end of Isha time is midnight, the Islamic midnight, which is approximately 11:45. Sometimes it's 11:35, depending on the time between Maghrib and the break of dawn. Cut them in 2, add it to the time of Maghrib. This is the Islamic midnight. So if you know that you're going to reach late, then pray wherever you are, Maghrib and Isha, because you must not delay it after the time of midnight. You reach there, you set your camp, you go and sleep. What? Don't I pray night prayer and engage in reading the Quran? No. The Sunnah is that you offer your witr and you sleep so that you would get enough rest for the following day, which is the day of Eid, and the different various activities, because it needs you to be fit and alert. Those who have needs, women, children, elderly, the sick, the Prophet gave them the concession to leave after midnight, which is approximately 1 a.m. Mother Asma bint Abi Bakr, may Allah be pleased with her and with her father, said when the moon disappeared. So it's approximately about 1-ish, 1:30. They can go to Mina ahead of the people to avoid the crowds. And this is permissible for those who are in need. The others would spend the night in Muzdalifah until the break of dawn. They pray Fajr, then they go to Al-Mash'ar al-Haram, make dua, and then before sun rises, they move to Mina. What to do in Mina? The first thing you do once you reach Mina is that you throw the Jamarat al-Aqabah. So the Prophet ﷺ went against the disbelievers, the idol worshippers, in 3 locations, as mentioned in your textbooks. One is he moved from Arafah after sunset, because the idol worshippers used to move before sunset. So the Prophet stayed until the sunset. Secondly, when he left from Muzdalifah, he left before the sunrise, while the idol worshippers used to do so after the sun rises. And finally and thirdly, he would not stay in the Wadi of Muhassir. The disbelievers used to halt there and boast about their lineages and their prominence among the tribes, but the Prophet ﷺ did not do that. Once you reach Mina, the first thing you do is you throw the 7 pebbles to Jamarat al-Aqaba. And you say takbir with every throw. Afterwards, you slaughter your sacrifice, which is not applicable because the slaughtering houses are somewhere else. Most of the people just authorized their expedition head, and they pay them so that they would pay the slaughterhouse to expiate or to offer the hadi on their behalf. And after that, you shave your head, and this is the sunnah, and it's better than cutting it short. Women, as stated before, they just cut this short from the edges of their hair. And this, by doing these actions, the person in ihram can take off his ihram and shower, wear perfumes, wear normal clothes. Everything is halal for him except to be intimate with his or her spouse. And afterwards, wearing your clothes and showering and the likes, the sunnah is to go to the haram and do your tawaf al-ifada and sa'i al-hajj. If the sa'i al-hajj you did not perform on the 7th or the 8th of the hijjah for the mufrid and the qarin, the one who are in Ifraad or Qiraan. You remember they had the option to offer sa'i al-hajj in the beginning. Al-Mutamatti' does not have this luxury because he performed Umrah and he did not perform Tawaf al-Qudum, so he went immediately to Mina. And when you do this, that is, when you finish your Tawaf al-Ifada and Sa'i al-Hajj, now you are completely out of the state of Ihram. Everything is permissible for you that was restricted upon you as a muhrim, even to be intimate with your spouse. So you've done all of this. So to recap, once we reach Mina from Muzdalifah, if you throw the 7 stones of the Jamarat al-Aqaba and shave your head, that's it. You can take off your ihram clothes, wear your normal clothes, everything becomes halal for you that was prohibited when you were in the state of ihram, except being intimate with your spouse. Once you, this is called tahallul al-awwal, the first tahallul. Once you offer your tawaf al-ifada and sa'i al-hajj, now you are having the major tahallul, which is the second tahallul, which makes everything kosher and permissible for you, even the intimacy with your spouse.